They shut off my water over a $40 fine. I begged them to reconsider. They laughed and told me to read the bylaws. 3 weeks later, a fire truck rolled down my street, hoses ready, and every single hydrant in our neighborhood ran bone dry. That's when the HOA's secret finally came out. If you believe no homeowner should ever be bullied out of what's rightfully theirs, subscribe to H.O.A. A breakpoints, because every injustice has a breaking point. My name's Danielle, and 2 years ago I thought I'd found my forever home. Quiet cul-de-sac, good schools, friendly neighbors who waved when you walked the dog, the kind of place you post pictures of and caption blessed. The Homeowners Association, the HOA, seemed harmless at first. They mowed the common areas, kept the entrance sign painted, sent out newsletters about the summer barbecue. I paid my dues on time, every time. I didn't cause trouble. But there was one man on the board, I'll call him Board President Gary, who treated every rule like scripture and every homeowner like a suspect. Gary had a clipboard, a tape measure, and an axe to grind with anyone who didn't fold to his authority. I didn't know it yet, but Gary was about to make a decision that would put an entire neighborhood's safety on the line, including his own house. It started small. A fence post 2 inches taller than the approved height. A trash bin left out 4 hours past pickup. Each violation came with a fine. I paid them, annoyed but compliant. Then came the fine I didn't agree with, $40 for a garden flag the HOA claimed violated seasonal decor guidelines. I disputed it in writing, citing the actual bylaws, which didn't mention flags at all. Gary didn't like being questioned. 2 weeks later, I opened my kitchen faucet and nothing came out. Not a drip. I called the city. They said my account was current, no issues on their end. I called my neighbor, water working fine. That's when I found the letter shoved in my mailbox. The HOA had authorized a private line shut off for unresolved dues and fines, citing a clause buried on page 47 of a 60-page document most homeowners never read. I had no water, not for dishes, not for laundry, not to flush a toilet. Over a garden flag. I didn't know it then, but this wasn't just about me. And soon this exact decision would put the entire block in danger. I called Gary directly. I asked how a private board could legally shut off a municipal water line. His answer still haunts me. We don't shut off the city supply, ma'am. We control the shared valve for the block. Read your bylaws. Shared valve. I didn't even know that phrase existed until that moment, and I had no idea how important those 4 words would become. I fought back the only way I knew how. I filed a complaint with the state's HOA regulatory board. I posted in the neighborhood Facebook group, and I quickly learned I wasn't alone. 3 other families had also had their water throttled or shut off over the past year, all for disputed fines under $100. Gary and the board doubled down. They sent a cease and desist letter accusing me of harassment for asking questions. They threatened a lien on my home. My husband wanted to just pay whatever they asked and move on. I refused, not because of the money, but because something about that shared valve line kept nagging at me. I started asking around the neighborhood, who controls this valve? Where does it even connect to? An old-timer down the street, a retired plumber, told me something that made my stomach drop. That valve, he said, doesn't just feed your houses. That feeds the hydrant at the corner. I didn't sleep that night, and 3 weeks later I understood exactly why. Now here's where it gets serious, because nobody, not me, not my neighbors, not even half the board, understood what Gary had actually done when he started managing that shared valve. See, years earlier, the developer had cut costs by tying several homes' water access to the same line that fed the neighborhood's 2 fire hydrants. It was supposed to be temporary, pending a city infrastructure upgrade that never happened. The HOA inherited control of that valve as part of a maintenance agreement, and somewhere along the way, board members started treating it like a personal punishment lever. Gary wasn't just shutting off garden hoses and dishwashers. Every time he throttled that valve to discipline a homeowner, he was also throttling pressure to the hydrants at the end of the block. I tried to warn the board in writing. I attached the plumber's explanation. I asked them point blank to confirm the hydrants were unaffected. Gary's response? That's not your concern. Pay your fine and your water returns. I filed one more complaint, this time with the city's fire marshal's office, not just the HOA board. I explained what I'd learned about the shared valve system. A fire inspector called me back within 48 hours, which honestly stunned me. She said they'd schedule a routine hydrant flow test on our street as a precaution. I remember exactly what I felt hanging up that phone: relief, mixed with a strange cold dread. Because deep down I already suspected what they were going to find. 2 houses down, a family was cooking dinner. Down the street, kids were riding bikes past a hydrant nobody had checked in over a year. None of us knew how close we already were to disaster. The testing day arrived on a Tuesday morning. I watched from my porch as a fire engine pulled up to the corner hydrant, 2 firefighters stepping out with a hydrant wrench and a pressure gauge. They opened the valve. Nothing. They tried the second hydrant, 3 houses down. Same result: a weak trickle, nowhere near the pressure required to fight a structure fire. One of the firefighters radioed back to dispatch, and I heard him say words I'll never forget. "We've got 2 hydrants on this block reading critically low. If there's a fire here right now, we don't have what we need." Within the hour, a fire captain was knocking on doors. He asked to speak to whoever managed the water system for the neighborhood. I pointed him toward Gary's house. I wasn't there for that conversation, but 3 separate neighbors were, and they all told me the same thing. Gary tried to explain the shared valve and the HOA's fine-based shut-off policy. The fire captain reportedly cut him off and said, "You're telling me you've been restricting water to punish residents? On a line that feeds our hydrants?" By that evening, the fire department had issued an emergency order. The HOA board was prohibited from ever restricting water access on that shared line again, under any circumstance, for any reason. The very rule Gary used to control us had just exposed him to the entire city. Word spread fast. Local news picked up the story. HOA fines left neighborhoods' fire hydrants dry. Suddenly, Gary wasn't just the guy with the clipboard, he was the face of an HOA scandal. The state regulatory board reopened its investigation into our HOA. And this time, it wasn't just about my $40 flag fine. 2 other family shut-off complaints resurfaced. An audit revealed the board had been collecting shut-off reconnection fees that weren't authorized in the bylaws at all, meaning years of fines had been, quite simply, illegal. Gary resigned from the board within a month, though not before public HOA meetings, now packed with furious neighbors, forced a full policy rewrite. The shared valve shut-off clause was permanently removed. The city finally approved the infrastructure fix that should have happened years earlier. My water came back. My flag stayed up. And every hydrant on our block now gets tested quarterly, by law. Gary learned the hard way. Some rules protect a neighborhood, and some rules only protect an ego. If your HOA has ever gone too far, tell me in the comments and subscribe. Because the next story might be closer to home than you think.